So probably a bizarre way to frame it, but you have to sometimes treat AI like it's an unruly. I don't want to say child. I think that's probably like very 1950s, but like an unruly pet, or even then, that's not the way. Unruly something, like something that is unruly, that you kind of have to be a little bit forceful, and you got to push back, and you got to be. I guess imagine you're trying to manage a group of 50 kids, and within reason, you're not going to be too unpleasant to any one of them. You're just trying to corral a group of runaway cats, shall we say. Anyway, the point of what I'm trying to get at is, like, I've noticed recently, sometimes to get the best out of AI, you really have to push it. I know this has always been the case, but depending on the changes with the model, I do notice big pivots in the response. And ultimately, the tool is trying to make you satiate you. It's trying to give you the quickest answer to kind of cut the usage as such, and deliver you the answer that is somewhat appropriate. But that being said, if you're actually looking for a transactional result, for example, I was looking for a mail to be written to somebody the other day, and really the response that I was getting from AI was junk. It was just giving me something that knew it would kind of finish the conversation, and that would be me done. And theoretically, if I wasn't actually kind of cross-checking it, and I think this is the big point I'm trying to ultimately get at, is stating the obvious. Ultimately make sure that, in the same way as, for example, if you had a team member who was sharing work with you, you would of course put a very discerning eye over things. However, when we're using AI, we often think that, well, because it's this magical tool, then it absolutely must be perfect. And the same thing goes around specifically when you're looking at anything numerical, anything mathematical, anything accounting based. I've noticed wild errors, and also wild errors in terms of, let's say, if you're asking AI to memorize something. For example, imagine you have a chat open and you're using it for your budgeting or your accounting or something like that. Oftentimes there's misdemeanors or mismanagement, mismemories when it comes to recalling that information. So general recall can be patchy, and then often it's really just trying to fob you off and get you done. So you got to go in, you got to be discerning, you got to act with AI as if it's an unruly team member who's working with you. Or imagine you've got a team member who's got one foot out the door, they couldn't care less, all they're thinking about is the day they resign, and they've essentially mentally clocked out. That's what you want to treat your responses from AI like, because that is how you'll ultimately push back to get a better answer. And sometimes you got to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And to be fair, when you do push back, you get a great purified, concentrated response. But equally, at the same time, you got to be discerning. You got to really read through what it's providing you. And I'm saying this for myself. I'm not saying by any stretch I'm an expert. I mean, I've always, for far too long, taken the response and just copy paste and go. But really, it's the discerning approach and the same level of patience that you would have with a team member, when you would be aware that, hey, this might take a couple of hours back and forth. So you got to go at the task at hand, multiple iterations, so that you get a genuinely premium response.